Thrasher magazine, known as the skateboarder's Bible, is the industry's most respected publication for street skating. Being featured in an issue of Thrasher instantly earns you clout amongst the skating community. A cover solidifies your legendary status, and since 1990, when the first award was given, the Skater of the Year title immortalizes your place in plywood pushing history. In the last few years, maybe even last decade or more, winning SOTY has evolved into something like a political campaign, with skaters stacking clips over time before flooding Thrasher's YouTube channel with video parts to position themselves as a finalist. But is this how SOTY was awarded since the beginning? Tony Hawk, famous for appearing on the Joe Rogan podcast and being the father of coffee connoisseur Riley Hawk, was the first recipient of the SOTY Award and had a ponytail. Unlike today's SOTYs, who get a special trip in their honor and enjoy an overall boost in their careers after winning the award, Tony would go from earning more than six figures in the late 80s.
Skateboards have been very, very good to Tony.
Yeah, for me it has been. I bought a house, a condominium in Carlsbad.
To later struggle financially for the better part of the 90s, mortgaging his house to pay for the creation of Birdhouse, and earning $100 a day demoing with rollerbladers in parking lots. Anecdotal evidence indicates that skateboarding's hype as one of the hottest new pastimes fizzled out right around the late 80s and early 90s. And with Tony Hawk being a vert skater, his decline hit even harder due to that genre of the sport being less relatable than street. It wasn't until closer to the turn of the century, and a decade after winning the SOTY title, that Tony Hawk would experience the life-changing events of landing the 900 and having the video games released. Thrasher's editor-in-chief at the time, Kevin Thrasher, announced Tony as the Skater of the Decade.
Thrasher, Reader Poll winner, Skater of the Year, Skater of the Decade, Tony Hawk.
Jake Phelps himself has confirmed that early on in the voting process, the readers' polls would ultimately decide the winner, which is exactly how Tony Hawk won SOTY. Tony's response to winning the award sums up how futile the attempt is to name a single best skater in a year's time.
I just want to say I can think of about 100 other guys I'd rather see get this award. But
And even the late editor-in-chief Jake Phelps claimed that Mark Gonzalez was robbed of the title that year.
No, Mark Gonzalez got robbed in 1990. We gave it to Tony Hawk, but Mark Gonzalez put out the blind video. He wallied Wallenberg. He board slid the double kink. He did everything. Front board. Come on, you know what the deal is.
Nonetheless, from 1990 onwards, there's been a SOTY every year, and Danny Way was the second recipient in 1991.
Why don't you go home to your mom?
hey, I make more money than you. Skateboarding, I guarantee.
Danny Way's nod that year was awarded before his iconic Plan B parts were released, featuring a hybrid of street and vert footage in 1992's Questionable and 1993's Virtual Reality. Chris Roberts attempted to get clarity regarding this phenomenon from Danny during his 9 Club episode, where Way's answer alluded to the fact that videos weren't the defining factor for winning SOTY, and instead it's an accumulation of quote-unquote things.
So this is before Questionable. It's in the growth of Plan B.
Yeah.
Which is interesting to me because you already had video parts come out, but you would think that the defining moment for SOTY would be this huge video part, right? Like it is nowadays, kind of.
Yeah,
right?
because back then, though, like the video part, everything wasn't based off video
Right.
parts like it is today.
Right.
Like, you know, it was an accumulation of things, you know, and you didn't have to necessarily have that banging video part to like get on the SOTY, you know, train.
It's worth noting that Danny Way celebrated his SOTY title with a mini ramp session after the awards ceremony, donning a sling due to a recently dislocated shoulder/broken arm. John Cardiel, uniquely endowed with a skating style that found him trying tricks no one else was willing to around his time, would be the third SOTY winner in 1992. And Jake Phelps clarified during his interview with The Bunt that Cardiel was his favorite recipient to date.
Of all the skaters of the year, which one were you the most hyped to present?
Cardiel. Who the f do you think you are?
In 1993, Salman Agha won SOTY, and it was the first year where the winner had a corresponding video part released in the same year via the Real video. Salmon winning the title that year is rumored to be due to his innovation, particularly in the aspect of skating switch and nollie, and he made it clear on the 9 Club that it was important to him to make sure he differentiated himself from the pack.
What was going on there?
Definitely at that time, I just felt that there was a lot of emphasis on individuality. I think it's important to me, and I don't know if it's important to a lot of skaters, but I just felt that it's important to differentiate yourself.
Salmon would go on to continue innovating in business, launching an anti-inflammatory infused energy drink, Skaterade, before shifting his focus after facing uphill battles from Monster, Gatorade, and lawyers to starting what is now an international restaurant chain, Pizza Nista. Mike Carroll was the 1994 SOTY, which was the year that Girl Skateboard's first video, Goldfish, was released. While Carroll's part didn't occupy the valuable real estate that resides in the first and/or last part, his combination of switch mastery and smooth style on a board supported his case for the title. Mike Carroll's pioneering efforts in establishing Girl with Rick Howard and his highly active involvement in the San Francisco skate scene surely contributed to the win as well. 1995 was another translucently awarded year, with Chris Sen receiving the accolade. Jake Phelps went on record stating that Sen was the one SOTY he regretted giving out, stating that Chris went out like Jimmy Buffett, not skating after winning the award.
Only one I'd take back is Chris Sen, because he's just like Jimmy Buffett. He don't give a about skateboarding anymore.
Oh,
That being said, Sen would go on to have iconic parts not only in Toy Machine's Jump Off a Building in 1998 and America's This Is Skateboarding in 2003, but would accumulate no less than 7 X Games medals from 1995 onward. Jake's sentiments about Sen hint that winning SOTY is only partially about how prolific and gnarly your skating is, with another significant portion based on your relationship with Thrasher. 1996 would find Eric Costin walking away with the SOTY title, which was the same year Girl's Mouse was released, as well as the year he won the second annual Tampa Pro contest. Ironically, Costin would win SOTY in the year where he didn't have the last part in a skate video, which Guy Mariano occupied in Mouse. But Eric did have the last part in Goldfish when Mike Carroll won 2 years prior. Costin was described by his colleagues as being one of, if not the most talented skater of his era, who took complex tricks in every stance to bigger rails and hubbas than had been done before. Brazil's Bob Burnquist was the 1997 SOTY, and during that year, it's difficult to point out a defining moment that earned him the award, especially since he was known for skating contests and, from what I could dig up, only earned a bronze in vert at the San Diego X Games. Bob is renowned for taking switch tricks on vert to unfathomable levels, and 2 years before winning SOTY, he stormed Vancouver's Slam City Jam with a pro debut victory. 1998 resulted in the boss, Andrew Reynolds, winning SOTY. Reynolds was fresh off of his second straight Tampa Pro victory in 1998, and while it's seemingly arguable which year Birdhouse's The End was released, Andrew's footage from that part likely played an influential role in his nomination. In 1999, Brian Anderson, who might have the world's deepest natural voice, ran away with the SOTY title.
I'm here on a 5-day trip.
Toy Machine's Jump Off a Building was released in 98, but Brian did win the 99 World Cup of Skateboarding in Dortmund, Germany, which Thrasher hinted on their own YouTube channel was the catalyst that earned him the honor. Jeff Rowley was the Y2K SOTY, and while it wasn't until 2002 that Flip Sorry was released, many of the clips from that part, including the Staples Center grind, were filmed around as early as 1999, which was the year Rowley joined Vans and released his own shoe. A year later, in 2001, fellow Flip teammate Arto Sari won SOTY, a year after his opening part in S. Monikmati was released, and a year before Sari was released. Moving on to 2002, Tony Trujillo snagged the SOTY title. Transworld's In Bloom would be the most notable video during the year of Tony's win, even though his part was in the middle. 3 years later, Trujillo went on to establish the band Bad Shit with Jake Phelps, along with Trujillo's wife Ashley on drums. The 2003 SOTY title went to Mark Appleyard, whose opening part in Flip Sorry 1 year earlier made a major impression on the skate world. Most notably for the combination of a good music choice, but more importantly for his careless style on big obstacles. Flip Really Sorry came out the same year Appleyard was SOTY, proving that the Flip team riders in the early 2000s were a heavy influence on skateboarding culture, with Rolly, Arto, and Appleyard all winning SOTY in 3 out of 4 consecutive years. 2004 marked the SOTY title's first double winner, with Danny Way being announced as the champ, more yoked than ever. A year before he won for the second time, Danny Way closed out the highly respected DC video, setting world records in distance and height. Way won gold at the 2004 X Games in Big Air, and a year after would make history by traversing the Great Wall of China. Chris Cole claimed the 2005 SOTY title, which just so happened to be the second straight year him and Zero would win what was at the time the 3rd annual King of the Road contest. 2005 was the year that Chris Cole would close out Zero's New Blood video with the part that featured the legendary San Francisco-based Wallenberg High School 360 flip. In 2006, Daewon's song was the Thrasher SOTY, which was the year that Almost Cheese and Crackers was released, featuring a 7-minute, 2-song mini-ramp part for the ages, let alone all the insanity he produced over the last decade from the Versus Mullen videos. 2007 would be Mark Johnson's year to become the SOTY, which was not a difficult decision considering his 3-song part in Fully Flared to close out the award-winning Lakai video. The nostalgia of which Mike Mo Capaldi has profited by making NFTs in late 2021.
How did you value what you sold it for?
Well, we kind of comically priced it at $169.420.
Okay, so that's what they sold for?
So $169,420, yeah.
Jake Phelps declared Eugene, Oregon native Silas Baxter Neal as the 2008 SOTY, and in a Thrasher radio interview 6 years later, it was Phelps who would clarify that there was no specific video or event that earned SBN the title that year.
You're one of the skateboard of the year now is like, it's turned into some big popularity contest and everybody's all yapping about who's going to be the You got one of the last people I said I respected him because you did it your way. You went out and went skated. You got an interview in the mag. It wasn't like, here's my video part, here's my action figurine, none of that other bullshit. I thought you did a pretty good job.
Habitat's Inhabitants video was released the year prior, where Silas shined in a nearly 5-minute part featuring innovative skating, including Wally variations and overall outside-the-box yet still gnarly footage. 2009 was the second time a repeat winner would be announced for SOTY, this time in the form of Chris Cole, which was solely due to his Battle at the Barracks win against P-Rod in Season 2. And had nothing to do with his 100 grand Maloof Money Cup win, sharing a part with Tom Asta in Zero's Strange World, or landing 3 NBDs and winning the Back to the Berg contest. In 2010, Leo Romero outshined the pack in Jake's eyes and earned the SOTY title as a result. Leo's notable footage from that year would be a Ruka tour video called Dick Moves, ending the Toy Machine Brainwash video, and his second to last part before the boss shut down America's monumental Stay Gold video. ATL native Grant Taylor, son of the industry's highly respected Thomas Taylor, was the 2011 SOTY, impressing Jake Phelps with his unapologetically intense style of skateboarding. During that year, Grant closed out Jason Hernandez's first Chronicles video from Nike SB, and participated in Thrasher's King of the Road as well as an Australia trip. Heading into 2012, Colombian David Gonzalez blew the skate world away with his Possessed to Skate part, which features nearly as many brutal slams as it does hammers. David's performance in this video alone would be enough to earn him the SOTY title that year. New Jersey's own Ishad Ware was Thrasher's Skater of the Year in 2013, pumping out 4 beefy video parts that solidified his status as the best and most productive ripper at the time. In early February 2013, the Sabotage 3 remix was posted on Thrasher's YouTube channel, featuring a 22-year-old Ishad flawlessly up the Philadelphia streets to the hard-hitting 9mm Boys Hammer by Memphis-based duo 8Ball and MJG. A 4-minute 4-star part would precede 2 more full videos from Ashad, a prequel video, and a 6-minute Nike SB Chronicles 2 part, sealing the deal for him winning SOTY. 1 year later, in 2014, Wes Kramer dark slid and late shoved his way to the title, claiming SOTY bragging rights mainly due to his crusty by nature part, but his Skate Mafia Pack of Hides part didn't hurt his chances by any means. Anthony Van England's ending part in the hour-long Vans Propeller video from 2015, where his average speed in each clip is about 20 miles per hour or more, ended up cementing Ave's status as that year's SOTY. The surprise announcement for Ave was uniquely planned, featuring Cody Green cosplaying as Lil Rusty, a delicious-looking FA-styled cake, and an obligatory park session to celebrate the event. Fellow Vans team rider to Ave, Kyle Walker, would huck and chomp his way through mega-sized, kinked rails, stair sets, and gaps to SOTY in 2016, thanks to the Vans No Other Way video.
Let me tell you about Jesus. Get that. Hey!
Which to this day is Thrasher's 6th most successful video on their YouTube page with over 7 million views. Speaking of rail chomping, Florida-born Jamie Foy had one of the biggest years of any aspiring pro skater in 2017, which happened to also be the year he won SOTY. Big Boy Foy turned pro for Death Wish, had the opening part in the Death Wish Part 1 video where he front-feebled El Mother Toro, destroyed every handrail in his sight, and closed out Ty Evans' Flat Earth video with a first try front crook back at El Toro. 2018 was a pivotal year for SOTY, not only because Tyshawn Jones was the winner, garnering countless respectful testimonials from skate veterans in his rise to stardom in the New York community.
It's just like Jordan dunking from the three-point line. I don't care if you have touched the basketball, you're like, yep, that's that shit. And Tyshawn is that.
I mean, what he did in the city was fascinating because he's one of the best skaters, so.
And I remember being like, who the is this little kid? Like, this kid is gnarly.
It's awesome that you know, a kid from his background could suddenly become the most celebrated skater that year.
He's a 20-year-old with a restaurant. Name one 20-year-old pro skater who has a restaurant already.
It's people like Tyshawn that come along and breathe life back into it and make people remember how important that aspect of street skateboarding is. It's raw, it's real, it's the truth. And that's what Tyshawn represents.
But this would be the last year that Jake Phelps would be around to announce the champ before his untimely passing in March 2019. Jake's announcement of Tyshawn winning was emotional for the SOTY, who gathered his friends and family on stage to share the acceptance of the award. Tyshawn started his own hardware company, Hardee's, had a lengthy part that closed out that year's Supreme video, Blessed by Bill Strobeck, and overall exhibits a rare, if not never before seen level of athleticism in his skating. Argentinian Milton Martinez kickflipped into the Sunset Car Wash Bank in 2019 to end his 10-minute, heavily sponsored Demolition part that dropped on Thrasher's YouTube in November of that year, correspondingly winning SOTY. Not only was the kickflip into Sunset Car Wash a huge trick on its own, but for Milton, this was a major mental battle, given his brutal injury at the same spot 3 years prior from an ollie attempt. Mason Silva, plain and simple, outworked every skater in 2020, pumping out no less than 4 parts throughout the year amid a disruptive worldwide shutdown. Jake Phelps' succeeding editor-in-chief of Thrasher, Mike Burnett, shed light on the situation with a surprise announcement where him and a squad of close friends donned themselves in hazmat suits before showering Mason in champagne to celebrate.
Hold on, back up 6 feet, 6 feet. Where's my man? This has been a up year, but the only thing more up than is Mason Silva.
Whether it's because the race for the title is fresh in our minds from happening only last year, or if it really was one of the tightest races for a SOTY title, Mark Suciu's flurry of footage and overwhelming whirlwind of envelope-pushing tech tricks on handrails in the end of Flora 3 would give him the needed edge over Yuto Horigome, Chima Ferguson, and John DiLorenzo. Suciu made a notable run with Verso during 2019 when Milton won, and has been on everyone's radar ever since he varial heel flipped the Love Gap in early 2012. So his 2021 win wasn't unlike Leo DiCaprio's endless struggle to get his hands on an Oscar before The Revenant came out in 2015. If there's one thing these 30 unique skaters who've been lucky enough to earn Thrasher's biggest award have in common, it's that each one of them were undoubtedly a highly skilled master of their craft at the time. Similar to an award ceremony like the Grammys with choosing the best musical artist, the highly subjective task of choosing a single best skateboarder in a single year is just as controversial, if not more so, than the former. With the last 32 years of SOTY history in our rear view, what can we expect for the next 32? Will campaigning with a flurry of video parts on the Thrasher YouTube channel become the norm? Or will there be a constant ebb and flow of polarizing winners followed by unanimous decisions by the community and Thrasher?